You've watched them deliver the news every morning, but do you really know who they go home to? In 2025, the personal lives of the Fox and Friends hosts are turning heads, sparking curiosity and surprise across the internet. From secret romances to powerhouse marriages, their love lives are anything but ordinary. Get ready to meet the unexpected partners behind your favorite TV faces. Hannity Hehhart. In a romance that's been the subject of speculation for years, Fox News stars Hannity Hehhart and Sean Hannity have officially taken the next step in their relationship. They're engaged, and the proposal was nothing short of poetic. The couple, who began quietly dating around 2020, finally confirmed what many had long suspected, solidifying their bond not just personally, but as one of the most high-profile pairs in cable news. The relationship between Hehhart, the polished and upbeat co-host of Fox and Friends, and Hannity, the influential primetime opinion host with one of the most watched shows on cable news, had been largely under wraps in its early years. Insiders whispered about their closeness, and public sightings added fuel to the fire, particularly in 2020 when they were spotted together at events, including a wedding where Hannity reportedly broadcasted from Sean's home studio during the pandemic. But both personalities are notoriously private, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. It wasn't until 2023 that rumors of an engagement began to swell, yet neither confirmed nor denied them. Then, in a romantic twist that mirrored a Hallmark-style holiday special, Hannity proposed on Christmas Day 2024, not at a lavish dinner or under TV studio lights, but in a quiet and meaningful place, their church in Florida. According to close friends of the couple, the proposal was emotional and faith-driven, with Hannity choosing a setting that held spiritual significance for both of them. Hannity, who has spoken often about the importance of her Christian faith, was reportedly moved to tears by the intimate gesture. It was a full-circle moment in their relationship, which had blossomed from professional admiration to a shared personal journey rooted in values, resilience, and family. Despite working under the same corporate roof, Hannity and Hehhart lead very different day-to-day lives. Sean is largely based in Florida, where he moved several years ago, partly to enjoy a quieter lifestyle and also to escape the rigors of New York life. Hannity, on the other hand, remains anchored in New York City, where Fox and Friends is broadcast live every weekday morning from the network's Midtown Manhattan headquarters. This bi-state arrangement hasn't hindered their connection. In fact, friends say they've made it work through routine travel, careful planning, and constant communication. Hehhart often travels to Florida on weekends and holidays, while Hannity occasionally returns to New York when needed for work or family. Their shared careers in media give them a deep understanding of each other's demanding schedules, and that mutual support has reportedly only strengthened their relationship. Those close to the couple describe their dynamic as respectful, grounded, and supportive. Hannity is said to appreciate Sean's protective nature and quick wit, while Sean is drawn to Hannity's optimism, grace under pressure, and unshakable values, especially when it comes to parenting and faith. Both Hannity and Sean bring rich personal histories to the relationship. Hannity is a devoted mother to her daughter Hayden, from her previous marriage to former college football player Will Proctor. She has often said that her daughter is her #1 priority and that any relationship she enters must honor and respect that bond. Hannity, likewise, has 2 grown children from his marriage to Jill Rhodes and is known to be a dedicated father. As they prepare to tie the knot in 2025, insiders say the couple is taking a thoughtful and deliberate approach to planning. While details of the wedding remain under wraps, it's expected to be a small, family-focused ceremony, possibly held in Florida where they share a spiritual community. The couple reportedly does not want a media spectacle, but instead hopes to celebrate in a way that reflects their values: faith, family, and privacy. While they may not flaunt their relationship on air or indulge in the trappings of celebrity, there's no denying the symbolism of their union. 2 of Fox News' most recognized faces, one representing its energetic mornings the other its fiery primetime commentary, have found love in the eye of the media storm. And for both, it seems to be a second act built on mutual respect, enduring faith, and shared vision for the future. Brian Kilmeade. Brian Kilmeade, one of the familiar faces on Fox and Friends, has quietly built not just a successful media career, but a lasting private family life far away from the bright lights of television. Since 1993, Kilmeade has been married to Dawn DeGaetano Kilmeade, his high school sweetheart and lifelong partner. While Brian's face is a daily presence in millions of American homes, the Kilmeade family itself remains largely out of the spotlight, a deliberate decision that has helped preserve the strength and stability of their long marriage. The couple's love story began long before television scripts and studio lights. Brian and Dawn met during their teenage years, and their relationship was forged in the kind of shared experiences and trust that only time can create. Friends say their connection has always been one of mutual respect, shared values, and unwavering support. By the time they married in the early 90s, they had already laid the foundation for a partnership built on more than just romance. It was about commitment, trust, and long-term vision. Over the decades, their bond has remained solid through the various stages of life, from young newlyweds navigating early careers to parents raising children in a rapidly changing world, and now as a well-established couple watching their kids grow into adulthood. They share 3 children, 2 sons and 1 daughter, and have worked hard to raise them with a strong sense of family, responsibility, and integrity. Though Brian speaks sparingly about his personal life on air, when he does mention his children, it's often with pride, warmth, and humor. Dawn Kilmeade, for her part, has intentionally stayed out of the public eye. She's not involved in show business or media, and has chosen a path of quiet support rather than celebrity. Those who know her describe her as grounded, kind, and deeply devoted to her family. Her ability to maintain privacy in a world increasingly defined by social media and constant exposure is not only rare, it's a reflection of the couple's joint commitment to a traditional family structure rooted in privacy and balance. While Brian is often traveling for interviews, book tours, or live broadcasts, friends say he remains deeply invested in his role as a husband and father. He's known to prioritize time with his family when he's off the clock, and despite his demanding schedule on Fox and Friends, co-hosting radio shows, and writing best-selling history books, family is reportedly his anchor. Behind the scenes, Brian and Dawn maintain a partnership that operates on routine, respect, and shared purpose. Those close to the Kilmeades have often remarked on the normalcy of their lives. Despite Brian's fame, the couple has chosen to raise their children with an emphasis on humility, education, and service. The Kilmeades are also said to be active in their local community, supporting causes quietly and without fanfare. Their life, while touched by celebrity, is rooted in values that predate it: loyalty, faith, and the importance of keeping one's private world truly private. That's not to say their journey has been without challenges. Like any couple with more than 3 decades together, Brian and Dawn have had to navigate the ups and downs that come with marriage, raising kids, and balancing a high-profile career with a desire for a grounded home life. Yet what sets them apart is their enduring ability to protect their relationship from outside pressures. In a media landscape filled with fleeting partnerships and high-profile breakups, their marriage is often described by colleagues as something refreshingly stable. Even as Brian's media presence has grown, with television segments, radio hosting duties, and authorship of several best-selling books like George Washington's Secret Six and The President and the Freedom Fighter, his home life has remained unchanged in its focus and simplicity. He credits much of that to Dawn, who has served as a steady, supportive figure behind the scenes, helping to maintain normalcy and perspective even as the spotlight grew brighter. The couple's marriage is rarely the subject of headlines, and that seems to be by design. There are no tabloid rumors, no scandals, and no dramatic public spectacles, just a quiet, consistent partnership that began in youth and has only deepened with time. In an industry often criticized for its turbulence and ego, Brian Kilmeade and Dawn Degatano Kilmeade are a testament to the power of staying grounded, prioritizing family, and keeping love private. Steve Doocy. As one of the original co-hosts of Fox and Friends, Steve Doocy has been a familiar face to millions of viewers since the show's debut in 1998. For over 2 decades, his affable charm, light humor, and conversational interviewing style helped define the morning tone of Fox News. But in early 2025, Doocy quietly embarked on a new chapter in his life and career, one shaped as much by personal priorities as by professional longevity. Recently, Doocy relocated to Florida, transitioning into a new role as a remote host for Fox News. While no grand farewell was staged, the move was notable among longtime viewers and colleagues. His presence on the New York set had been a staple of the show for years, but now, from the sunshine and slower pace of Florida, he remains a key contributor, offering commentary, live hits, and pre-taped segments from a custom-built home studio. This hybrid setup allows him to stay active on air without sacrificing the family life he's so often championed. That family-centered ethos is nothing new for Doocy. He remains happily married to Kathy Garrity, his wife of over 3 decades, and the couple continues to project a sense of warmth and stability rare in the broadcasting world. Kathy, a former TV sports anchor herself, has largely remained out of the public spotlight in recent years, but her influence and support have always loomed large behind the scenes. Together, Steve and Kathy raised 3 children, including Peter Doocy, the Fox News White House correspondent. The father-son professional connection has occasionally become part of the on-air banter, with Steve visibly proud of Peter's journalistic rise. Even as Peter became a staple in political reporting, Steve's commentary remained focused on keeping things grounded, family dinners, holiday traditions, and now, grandparenting duties. Indeed, one of the driving reasons behind Steve's shift to Florida and remote hosting was reportedly to spend more time with his grandchildren. Though he's never flaunted his personal life for attention, Doocy has made no secret of how much joy he derives from family. In multiple interviews and cookbook promotions, he co-authored several with Kathy, including the Happy in a Hurry cookbook. Steve has emphasized the importance of balancing a fast-paced career with real-life relationships. The move south may have also been health-conscious. At 68, Doocy remains sharp and active, but he's spoken openly in past years about embracing a healthier lifestyle and resisting the grind of early morning wake-up calls that come with live television. The Florida lifestyle, slower mornings, warmer weather, more flexibility, provides a welcome contrast to the rigid structure of daily studio appearances. Still, his professional identity hasn't waned. He continues to weigh in on political and cultural debates, often offering the same blend of Midwestern calm and conservative perspective that helped anchor Fox and Friends through multiple eras. Whether through virtual interviews, book tour promotions, or occasional feature segments, Doocy's presence remains integral, even if no longer tied to the Manhattan skyline. His legacy at Fox is secure. As one of the few media figures to remain consistently employed and publicly admired for such a long tenure, Doocy has quietly carved out a niche that balances credibility, likability, and endurance. Unlike some of his more bombastic counterparts, he's avoided scandals and rarely courts controversy. His focus has remained on storytelling, connection, and daily relevance, whether discussing politics, parenting, or pancakes. In 2025, Steve Doocy may be away from the studio lights, but he's not fading into retirement. Instead, he's writing a new chapter, one defined not by headlines or ratings wars, but by grandchildren's laughter, home-cooked meals, and Florida sunshine. His career remains intact, but now on his terms. A remote role tailored to family values, and a life that mirrors the kind of contentment he's always subtly advocated on screen. Janice Dean, the beloved weather anchor on Fox and Friends, is known to millions for her sunny personality, on-air warmth, and compassionate advocacy. But behind her bright demeanor is a deeply personal story of strength, resilience, and enduring love. Since 2007, Janice has been married to Sean Newman, a New York City firefighter whose heroism and grounded presence have helped anchor her through life's many challenges. Together, they've built a life filled with love, service, and perseverance, raising 2 sons while navigating the demands of public life and private struggles, including Janice's ongoing battle with multiple sclerosis, MS. Their relationship began in the early 2000s, after Janice had already begun making a name for herself as a broadcast meteorologist and rising media personality. Sean, a first responder whose bravery during some of New York's most trying times earned widespread respect, met Janice through mutual friends. Their bond was instant and natural, built not around fame or career, but on shared values, mutual admiration, and a down-to-earth understanding of what truly matters. By the time they married in June 2007, they had already laid the groundwork for a partnership built on trust, empathy, and resilience. Early in their marriage, Janice and Sean faced a test that would define the strength of their union. In 2005, just 2 years before their wedding, Janice was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, an unpredictable and often debilitating autoimmune disease that affects the central nervous system. The diagnosis came at a time when her career was soaring, but her body was sending unfamiliar and frightening signals: numbness, dizziness, and extreme fatigue. Instead of backing away, Sean stood even closer. His steady presence became a lifeline as Janice came to terms with a diagnosis that would reshape her daily life. In the years since, Janice has been remarkably open about her MS journey, speaking publicly about the challenges of living with the disease, balancing motherhood and work, and confronting the fear of the unknown. She has described her experience as one of learning to adapt, finding strength in vulnerability, and building a support system that starts at home. Sean has played a critical role in that support system, not just as a husband, but as a father, caregiver, and emotional rock. The couple welcomed their first son, Matthew, in 2009, followed by their second, Theodore, in 2011. Motherhood brought joy and purpose to Janice's life, but it also introduced new physical and emotional demands. She has spoken candidly about what it's like to raise children while dealing with flare-ups, fatigue, and fear. Yet she credits her husband for helping shoulder the load in ways both big and small, from middle-of-the-night feedings to simply being present and dependable. Sean's career as a firefighter meant long hours and dangerous work, but at home, he's described as devoted and hands-on. The Dean-Newman household is said to be full of warmth and laughter. Despite Janice's public visibility and Sean's demanding role as a first responder, the couple has managed to create a stable, loving environment for their children, one where resilience is modeled and adversity is met with grace. Family time is sacred, and both parents are deeply involved in their sons' lives, attending games, helping with homework, and carving out time away from the noise of the world. Janice's professional journey has only expanded in recent years, and so has her voice. While still delivering weather forecasts with enthusiasm and clarity, she's also taken on a new role as an advocate, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic, when she became an outspoken critic of New York's nursing home policies after losing her in-laws to the virus. Her willingness to speak out, even when it placed her in the middle of controversy, was driven by a fierce sense of justice and an unshakable belief in standing up for what's right. That strength, many say, is deeply tied to the support she receives from her husband and family. Despite the many public-facing aspects of her life, Janice remains grounded in her private world. She has written books, given speeches, and shared deeply personal reflections, but always returns to the foundation of her story: her marriage, her sons, and the ability to wake up each day with purpose. She often speaks of gratitude, not just for the opportunities she's had, but for the love and stability that have sustained her through the toughest seasons of her life. Lawrence Jones. Lawrence Jones, a rising star in conservative media, made a major leap in his career when he officially joined the weekday Fox and Friends team in September 2023. Already well known to Fox News audiences as a contributor and solo host, his promotion to co-host and enterprise reporter on one of cable's most-watched morning shows marked a pivotal moment in both his professional life and public profile. At just 31 years old when he took the role, Jones became the youngest black co-host in the program's history, cementing his place as a fresh yet authoritative voice in political commentary, human interest storytelling, and cultural discourse. Jones had already spent years cultivating a strong reputation as a reporter who could seamlessly move between the studio and the field. Before joining the main Fox and Friends desk, he hosted Lawrence Jones Cross Country, a weekend primetime program that combined on-the-ground reporting with long-form interviews and town hall-style conversations. His ability to capture the tone of local America, especially on issues that resonate with conservative viewers, like crime, education, border policy, and policing, set him apart from many of his peers. Fox executives and producers took note of his charisma, relatability, and sharp instincts, ultimately tapping him to help usher in a new era of Fox and Friends. Since joining the weekday lineup, Jones has become a key member of the team, offering not just commentary, but also enterprise reporting, in-depth, investigative-style segments that take him beyond the New York studio to locations across the country. Whether he's interviewing law enforcement officials at the southern border, speaking with community leaders in rural towns, or spotlighting ordinary Americans navigating extraordinary challenges, Jones brings an empathetic yet no-nonsense approach that resonates with a broad audience. His on-air chemistry with co-hosts like Hannity Hehhart, Brian Kilme, and Steve Doocy has been described as natural and energizing. Viewers appreciate his grounded manner, confident delivery, and the unique generational and cultural perspective he brings to a show long dominated by more seasoned personalities. In an era when legacy media networks are constantly seeking to evolve, Jones stands out as a rare talent who bridges tradition and innovation. But while his professional star continues to rise, Lawrence Jones has kept his personal life largely out of the spotlight. As of mid-2025, there is no public record of him being married or engaged, and he has never spoken in detail about a serious relationship. For a figure as visible as Jones, who has covered everything from presidential campaigns to community policing, this absence of public relationship chatter is notable. In an age when many media figures willingly share intimate details about their private lives on social media, Jones has chosen a more traditional and guarded approach. His Instagram and other public platforms are mostly focused on his work. Clips from Fox and Friends, behind-the-scenes shots from reporting trips, and occasional glimpses of his personal interests, like fitness, faith, and travel. There are no hints of a significant other, no red carpet couple appearances, and no reports linking him romantically to anyone in or out of the media world. Some fans have speculated, but Jones has never confirmed any long-term partner, and no credible sources suggest that he is in a serious relationship as of now. Those who know him professionally describe Jones as deeply focused, ambitious, and mission-driven. He has spoken often about his faith, his upbringing in Texas, and his commitment to telling the stories of the forgotten men and women across the country. It's possible that this dedication to his career, especially in such a high-pressure, high-visibility environment, has taken priority over settling down. Alternatively, he may simply be keeping his personal life private out of principle or preference, choosing not to expose a relationship to the often unforgiving scrutiny of public life. Jones's focus on values, faith, and service is a frequent theme in his work, and these same themes may very well guide his personal choices. As he continues to gain influence both on and off the screen, he is often viewed as a role model for younger conservatives, particularly black conservatives, who see in him a combination of poise, intelligence, and authentic storytelling. There's little doubt that Lawrence Jones has the attention of his audience and the trust of his network. Whether covering national crises, interviewing political leaders, or highlighting the heart of local America, he does so with a style that feels both fresh and grounded. While some public figures use personal relationships as part of their public brand, Jones has so far resisted that route, choosing instead to let his work speak for itself. As his career continues to evolve at Fox News and beyond, fans and colleagues alike may remain curious about his personal life. But for now, Lawrence Jones seems content with where he is, on the front lines of American media, building a future rooted in purpose and doing so entirely on his own terms. Carly Shimus. Carly Shimus serves as the news anchor for Fox and Friends First, the early morning program that leads into the network's flagship show, Fox and Friends. Though her day begins while most of America is still asleep, Shimus delivers the day's first headlines with poise, clarity, and a steady on-screen demeanor that's earned her a loyal following among early risers and cable news watchers alike. Her calm, professional delivery is often the first voice viewers hear on Fox each morning, and she's become an integral part of the network's effort to provide rolling news coverage across the morning hours. Shimus has carved out a unique niche at Fox. While she's a regular on Fox and Friends First, she does not appear as a co-host on the main Fox and Friends show alongside personalities like Ainsley Earhart, Brian Kilmeade, and Steve Doocy. Her role is distinct and tailored more toward straight news delivery, covering overnight developments, breaking stories, politics, and trending topics, with sharp pacing and editorial precision. That separation from the main morning trio has allowed her to develop her own brand and style without being folded into the more conversational and personality-driven tone of the later hours. Having joined the Fox News family over a decade ago, Carly's journey began behind the scenes. A graduate of Quinnipiac University, where she majored in broadcast journalism, she first entered the network as a production assistant on Shimus in the morning. Over time, she transitioned to on-air roles, serving as a headlines reporter and contributor across several shows, including Fox and Friends Weekend, Fox News Headlines 24/7, and Media Buzz. Her growing presence and professional reliability eventually led to her role as co-anchor of Fox and Friends First, which airs weekdays at 4 a.m. ET. In that demanding role, Carly Shimus demonstrates both work ethic and discipline. The show requires her to be in the studio well before sunrise, reviewing scripts, preparing stories, and getting camera ready before most viewers are even awake. Yet she maintains a calm, upbeat demeanor and never lets the demanding hours diminish her performance. Her fans appreciate her blend of journalistic seriousness and subtle warmth, traits that have made her a trusted face for news delivery. While her professional life is widely visible, Shimus maintains a very low profile when it comes to her personal life. As of mid-2025, she has no publicly known spouse, fiancé, or romantic partner in the media, and she rarely, if ever, shares personal relationship details with the press or on social media. Unlike some of her Fox News colleagues whose romantic lives have played out publicly, either through high-profile relationships, media speculation, or coverage of engagements, Carly keeps her focus strictly on her work. She's active on social media, particularly Instagram and Twitter, where she posts behind-the-scenes snapshots from the studio, thoughts on current events, or lighthearted moments with colleagues. However, there is a noticeable absence of any romantic content or hints of a significant other, and no credible news outlets have linked her to any public relationship. Whether she is choosing to remain single, is dating privately, or simply prefers to keep that part of her life off the radar is unknown. But her discretion in this area is consistent with her broader media presence. Despite being one of the more visible faces of Fox's early morning programming, Carly Shimus is not part of the celebrity news ecosystem. She doesn't appear in tabloids, she doesn't chase headlines outside of work, and she hasn't been the subject of controversy. In a media landscape that often rewards sensationalism or personal oversharing, Shimus represents a more traditional type of broadcast journalist, one who shows up, does her job exceptionally well, and lets her professionalism speak for itself. Colleagues have described her as diligent, thoughtful, and grounded. Those who work behind the scenes with her say she's focused, polite, and collaborative, known for treating everyone, from fellow anchors to production crew, with respect. It's this reputation that has made her a quiet force at the network. Not the loudest voice in the room, but one of the most consistent and dependable. Carly's focus remains squarely on her career. Whether reporting on breaking global stories, covering domestic politics, or presenting lighter fare like viral videos and cultural commentary, she delivers the news with clarity and integrity. She has also filled in occasionally on other Fox News programs and could potentially expand her on-air roles in the future, depending on the network's direction and her own career goals. Rachel Campos Duffy. Rachel Campos Duffy, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, brings a deeply personal touch to her role as a conservative commentator, blending her on-air work with stories from her own life as a wife, mother of 9, and longtime advocate for traditional family values. Her journey to becoming one of the most recognized faces on weekend cable news is closely intertwined with her marriage to former Congressman Sean Duffy, whom she married in either 1999 or 2005. Dates that vary depending on the source, but always point to a long and enduring partnership built on faith, family, and shared purpose. Rachel first rose to public prominence in the 1990s as a cast member on MTV's The Real World San Francisco, where her deeply held Catholic beliefs and conservative worldview stood out among a cast known for progressive politics and countercultural views. After her time in reality TV, Rachel transitioned into political commentary and broadcasting, earning a strong reputation for articulating the values of faith, motherhood, and patriotism. Her journey led her to Fox News, where she became a contributor and guest host before securing a co-hosting seat on Fox and Friends Weekend, a high-profile role that cemented her status as a voice of American conservatism. Her professional ascent has run parallel to her family life, which is nothing short of extraordinary. Rachel and Sean Duffy, who represented Wisconsin's 7th Congressional District in the U.S. House of Representatives from 2011 to 2019, are parents to 9 children, a rarity by any standard, but especially so in modern American media. Their family life, though massive and often hectic, is also a central part of Rachel's identity both on and off the air. The Duffys have welcomed children over a span of nearly 2 decades, balancing busy careers with the responsibilities of raising a large, close-knit family. Rachel often draws from her experience as a mother in her commentary, using real-life anecdotes to emphasize her advocacy for parental rights, education reform, and pro-life causes. In 2019, their daughter Valentina was born with Down syndrome and a congenital heart defect, prompting Sean Duffy to resign from Congress to focus more fully on his family. The decision was widely praised and highlighted the couple's shared priorities. When forced to choose between public life and family, the Duffys chose home. Rachel has since been open about the challenges and joys of raising a child with special needs, often using her platform to promote awareness and compassion, while also pushing back against what she sees as a culture that devalues lives like her daughter's. Her fierce love for her family, combined with her unapologetic belief in faith-based, conservative parenting, has made her a relatable figure to many viewers who feel underrepresented in mainstream discourse. In addition to her television duties, Rachel and Sean co-host a podcast on Fox Nation, where they dive deeper into topics ranging from politics and faith to marriage, parenting, and cultural shifts. Their chemistry as co-hosts is palpable, sharp, affectionate, and often humorous, and the show offers fans a more intimate look at their relationship, their convictions, and their commentary on America's changing landscape. The podcast has become an extension of their brand, a married couple navigating modern life with traditional values, leaning on their shared worldview and mutual respect. Rachel's on-air presence reflects the same tone, firm, articulate, and grounded in lived experience. On Fox and Friends Weekend, she often discusses issues related to the economy, education, family policy, immigration, and national identity, all through the lens of her deeply rooted Catholic faith and patriotic worldview. She is especially passionate about motherhood and the role of women in society, often challenging modern feminist narratives and emphasizing the power and dignity of raising a family. Her critics sometimes accuse her of being overly idealistic or too focused on a specific kind of American life, but her supporters argue the opposite, that Rachel Campos Duffy represents a segment of the population that is frequently dismissed or misunderstood in mainstream culture. With her large family, her long marriage, and her willingness to share personal triumphs and struggles alike, she offers a counterpoint to the more curated, less messy lives often portrayed in public life. Despite her growing influence, Rachel remains deeply involved in family matters. She frequently shares candid glimpses into her household through social media, whether it's birthday celebrations, family dinners, or moments of chaos with her youngest children. She never shies away from the hard parts, often admitting that raising 9 kids is anything but easy, but always returns to the theme of gratitude for her husband, for her faith, and for the beautiful, complicated life they've built together. Charles Hehhart. In early 2025, Charles Hehhart made a quiet but significant leap onto millions of television screens across America, joining the ranks of Fox News' Fox and Friends Weekend as a newly promoted co-host. Known for his sharp editorial voice and steadfast conservative principles, Hehhart's promotion was more than just a career move. It marked a transition from the world of print journalism into the bright lights and high-pressure rhythms of weekend morning television. And true to his low-key persona, the shift came with little personal fanfare. Before taking his seat on the iconic Fox and Friends couch, Hehhart had already built an impressive legacy in political journalism. He spent years at the Washington Times, where he served as opinion editor and established himself as a bold and clear-eyed conservative voice. His editorials, often critical of establishment politics, struck a chord with readers craving authenticity and ideological consistency. His bylines were known for cutting through political noise and offering direct, often unapologetic takes on Washington's dysfunction, media bias, and shifting cultural tides. But it wasn't just his print credentials that paved the way to Fox News. Hehhart had been a contributor to the network for years, offering political analysis during election cycles, State of the Union addresses, and major national events. His calm, measured tone contrasted with the often feverish pace of cable news panels. Viewers responded positively to his ability to synthesize complex issues into accessible commentary, earning him a reputation as a reliable and rational voice on the right. So when Fox News announced in January 2025 that Hehhart would officially join Fox and Friends Weekend, it didn't come as a complete surprise. The network has consistently leaned on familiar voices for its flagship programs, and Hehhart fit the mold: experienced, articulate, and ideologically aligned. His addition to the weekend team, alongside co-hosts Rachel Campos Duffy and Will Kane, brought a certain journalistic gravitas to the lively morning format, blending the show's mix of politics, culture, and human interest stories with his trademark analytical depth. Yet despite his rising profile, Hehhart has maintained a notably private personal life. As of mid-2025, there is no public confirmation of his marital status, no high-profile spouse in the spotlight, and no red carpet appearances alongside a partner. In an era where many television personalities carefully curate their personal brand for social media, Hehhart has bucked the trend. His public image remains focused almost entirely on his professional voice, not his private relationships. That privacy may be intentional. Over the years, Hehhart has rarely strayed from discussing politics, policy, and media critique in his public appearances. He avoids the performative aspect of television fame that often engulfs cable news anchors. There are no Instagram glimpses into his living room or Twitter threads about family vacations. To many viewers, that restraint only adds to his credibility. He's not interested in being a celebrity pundit, just a journalist doing his job. Some media observers note that his stoic presence and relatively low media profile outside of Fox News is reminiscent of the old-school newsmen of earlier decades, figures who let their work do the talking. Others point out that Hehhart's privacy is part of a broader pattern among serious conservative commentators who prefer to keep personal matters out of public discourse. Professionally, Hehhart's influence has grown in step with his platform. His presence on Fox and Friends Weekend has given him greater access to a wide demographic of weekend viewers, many of whom tune in for more laid-back political conversations that still carry weight. He's become a go-to voice on topics ranging from presidential campaign strategies to free speech debates, earning him both praise and criticism, hallmarks of any impactful journalist. His ability to bridge traditional journalism with the demands of television has also positioned him as a stabilizing force on a show that juggles entertainment, culture, and hard news. Whether dissecting a Supreme Court ruling or reacting to a viral social controversy, Hehhart provides clarity without theatricality, a valuable trait in today's often overheated news landscape. As the 2024 presidential election cycle continues to ripple through 2025, Hehhart's new role at Fox is already being watched closely. Political insiders and viewers alike are paying attention to how he frames the next big debates, and whether his growing influence on television could lead to even more prominent roles in the future. For now, however, he seems content exactly where he is, grounded, focused, and unbothered by the noise. What do you think about the Fox and Friends showrunners of 2025? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.